Hey, good evening and welcome to the May 11th Palmer Town Council meeting. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is visitors' comments. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Seeing no one. Next item is the approval of the minutes of the April 13th meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Was not at the last one, correct? I'm trying to open it really quick.
Correct. You are not.
I was not, so I abstained.
Okay. Okay, we have no old business tonight. Did any of you have old business you wanted to talk about?
I got one little thing, the old high school on Commerce. Some of the people are saying there's glass all over the parking lot, they don't wanna park there. If anyone could clean it up, and there's a workout group that goes there.
So it's, Carl, just to confirm, it's on the general parking side that you would use for the baseball field? Is that where the?
Yes, yeah.
I'll ask DPW to check it out.
Thank you, I just
Might
was
be from the
asked to
snow
bring
move.
it out.
Yeah, I know
Did
we
we dump a
piled
ton
up
of
a lot of
snow
snow,
there? Yeah.
but this is the first, we've had no snow over there probably for a good month now, and I haven't heard a complaint, so we'll follow up.
Thank you.
Okay, new business. The first item is the appointment of Lauren Perry, Lauren Perry to the Conservation Commission with a term ending 6/30/27. Do you have anything on this?
No, unfortunately, Lauren could not be in attendance tonight, but this fills one of 2 vacancies, so there still is 1 vacancy left. But this is for the longest term we have available right now.
Okay. Do you have a motion to appoint Lauren Perry to the Conservation Commission? Motion
Second.
by, okay,
Oh, she.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have Resolution 2026-23, which is to appoint Ashley Place, the Director of Administrative Services, as the alternate municipal hearing officer. And in our packet, we have that she completed the training program.
Make a
Anything on-
motion.
Anything on that?
No comment. So right now, I am the sole municipal hearings officer. As you guys know, sometimes I don't have a lot of time to commit to these things, and they need full attention to review. So I'm excited to have Ashley as an alternate. She will probably take 99% of the cases, but we will. I'll gladly accept a motion, and I am excited to have her help on this hearing.
We have a motion by Matt, is there a second by Jess? Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, next we have departmental update from our town clerk, Sue Coash, and
I'm here with Mary
Mary,
Pickett,
yep.
my assistant,
Yep.
and we're gonna overview what goes on in our daily office and some things that to look forward to.
okay.
So we're first gonna talk about this town census and why it's so important to return. It aids residents with proof of residency and voting status and housing benefits for the elderly and other eligible people, and it's school enrollment, grants, and it produces the street list. That is very necessity that the state mandates that we do. We get about I would say a 60% return on that. 40% of people don't return it, so it's makes it a hard process when it comes to vote, because those people become inactive, and then it's another challenge to move over if they don't return it. So it's very important to return it. If you still have it, please send it in. So we also, our business certificates, we do process a lot of those every month. The census, dog licensing, elections, fuel storage permits, genealogy, employee assistance with the conflict of interest that we do for all employees that either are appointed or elected, posting meetings, notary services, poll hearings, all your vital records, public records officers, and swearing in of people, tag sale permits, and voter registration. So it's a mass general law to license your dog in the Commonwealth, and in Palmer, before February 28th, it's $10 if your animal is spayed or neutered, and $20 if it is not, and there's a late fee after the 28th. And also, Ollie's Law came into effect 2 years ago for kennels, and that requires more inspections and reporting to the state again to make sure that all domestic animals are up to code with where they're at. So, as you all know that are appointed or elected, you have to complete your state ethics commission conflict of interest. So that is we're up to 719 people that have completed that in 2025. Once a year, you have to do the online just acknowledgement, and then every other year it is the course you have to take, which probably takes about an hour. And on a day-to-day office, this is usually what we do, and we have, so far this year, 27 births, 76 deaths, 15 marriage intentions, 13 marriage records, 125 meetings and hearings to be posted, 814 dog licenses, and we do notarize a lot of documents for the residents, and that's usually about 170, or by the end of the year, it's about 500 or 600. So business certificates, if you want to open up a business in town, you have to apply for a business certificate. So when we receive the certificate, we send it to the tax collector, building and zoning, and make sure everything is in compliance with if they have any taxes owed, or if they're doing businesses that shouldn't be done in that location. And we encourage them or guide them in a way to get to the planning board and assist them with what they need to get the business in its certification for Palmer. And those are available to see if anybody ever wants to come in and look at them and see. We have a lot of businesses, but and Mary, do you do that?
Oh, so we do the fuel registrations. It's like the land licenses, what tanks are stored where, and that goes out usually in March, and it has to be back by April 30th.
So there's 25 of those that we have all over town, and that generates about $4,000 worth of revenue per year. So our current elections will be coming up in June. So precinct 1 and 4 is remaining at St. Peter and Paul for this voting season. And then 2 and 3 is moving over to AMVETS. So we'll see how that will affect the voters, but I think it was, the state came out and they audited, and they said it was a spot that was feasible, and I'm happy to make the move. St. Thomas was they were hospitable to us, and they were very good to work with, but the goal is to have all of the voting locations in one space. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 will eventually be in one place, Mary.
Can you just expand on why that's a good thing for our community? Because I've gotten some questions about, why everybody needs to move, why, everything was working fine as it was, but they may not know what goes on kind of behind the scenes.
Well, with the way the voting acts changed in Massachusetts and all elections now, you'll do voting by mail. And I think that voting by mail is now less people, more paper. So even when we have elections, we do everything that we can to get people to come out and vote. They have many opportunities to have their vote. So I think just having in 2 different places, and the fee to hold an election is, sometimes there's a larger fee in one area than other, and if we're trying to save money in any way we can, to have it in one spot with less people is, one spot is probably convenient. I think around the Commonwealth, for our population, that one size could fit.
Thank you.
Really quick, on that note, the last general election that we had in town, what was the turnout? Do you know, just
Last
off?
town election,
Yeah, just the percentage.
I think it was
3 point something.
3.8.
Just to back up your statement, yeah. So 3.8% out of all the registered voters in town came out to vote.
Right, so historically, if you look a year in election, if the state mails out you a ballot or the postcard and we have to do that process, you'll have a 70 to 80% turnout. If you have to make the effort to come do it physically, it's 3%. So I think people are just they like to have the mail-in ballot. But for the town election, where you can request a vote by mail ballot. We're not sending out postcards. If you want to vote by mail, you have to contact the clerk's office and we'll have the form, you can download it and we'll get you the ballot. But we have some slides coming up to that. Okay, so this is the.
Sue, can I just jump in real quick? If anyone is here for the Palmer Motorsports Park ZBA hearing, that is located at the dispatcher, excuse me, the police department. If you walk in, it's right on the left. You're welcome.
So our annual town election, which is next month, June 9th, the seats will be a counselor at large for 1-year term and a counselor at large 3 years, a District 1 counselor, planning board, school committee, and there's a non-binding question, an opinion advisory question that will be on there. And this is what the ballot will look like. And it's online and it'll also be in the Journal. And then September 1st, we have our state primary, and November 3rd will be our state election. That's when you'll start getting those red books, and you'll be getting the postcards from the Commonwealth asking you if you'd like to participate. And if you don't send the September one back, they're gonna send you one for November. Also, to get the questions on the ballot, we had to certify over almost 4,000 signatures so far, and we'll be getting another round of petitions next month. So we have to verify all the signatures that come in, that are signed when you step at a store and somebody asks you to sign the paper. They have to be matched up against our information in our voter registration system and sent back to the campaign, and then if there's enough signatures, it gets to be on the ballot. Okay. And that's what the absentee ballot application will look like if you want to apply for the town election. So it's online at the town clerk's office, or you can go to the Secretary of State's website and you'll see it there, and we'll get it as soon as, and the ballot should be mailed out probably within 3 weeks. And then that's the postcard you'll be getting, and that's not coming from us, it's coming from the Secretary of State's office. So for vote by mail numbers, that's the amount of applications we had and how many that we had to send out. So it's a huge effort to do the vote by mail. So you don't have as many people there, but you have the same work getting the ballots to the polling location, and they have to be opened and separated there. But that's the whole process. It takes about 7 minutes for each ballot to be processed. And that's that. Does anybody have any questions?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. We're gonna also vote tonight to sign the.
The warrant?
The
I have
warrant,
it. Yep,
yep.
2 of them.
So we'll do that, and, good job as always, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so next item is a motion to sign the warrant for the annual town election, which again will be held on June 9th from 10 to 8 p.m. A motion? Motion by Matt, second
Second.
by Jess. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, next we have Resolution 2026-24, which is to appropriate $18,000 from free cash for patrol rifles for the police department.
Do we have background on this?
So, so this is the chief can come up, but it was an additional 10 patrol rifles to allow issue to all sworn personnel. I did have a question on that, though, because oh wait, maybe not, hold on. Maybe this isn't the one, never mind, I'll hold my question.
There it is.
And just for the council's background, I sent out a email to all department heads who may request capital items, and I asked them if they want anything expedited, because part of the budget process should be the capital plan. Unfortunately, this year, we had a lot of turnover in various department heads that delayed the process, so it's not ready to go as a full plan as part of the budget. But the goal is to bring you guys that in the early part of fiscal year '27. But these are items that, after talking with the chief, we felt like there's a reason to expedite them. It's not like it doesn't change the funding source. They were gonna come from free cash anyway, so we felt the need to put them on and get approved now, so we don't have to wait until next fiscal year.
We squashed that question, because that was my first question, was why aren't we doing this as capital?
There you go. It's still capital, it
It
just
is.
is a different
Correct.
process.
Yep.
Did you want to say anything about
Sure.
this one?
This is the patrol rifle.
Yeah.
So this would be for the addition of 10 patrol rifles for the police department. And the rationale or the reason for the request is that we would rather, at the present time, we have a pool of rifles that the officers generally, they share the rifles. The downside to this is that they don't have a rifle that's exclusive to them. So they're basically, every officer should have a patrol rifle just as much as they should have a sidearm, just as much as they should have their own taser assigned specifically to them. They qualify with that weapon. That weapon is theirs. They have it available for use at all times. There's numerous times where we call people in if they're sharing these weapons. They're not coming in with their equipment. Basically, is they're not, and one of the issues that we have is that when we're qualifying, range day, all the rifles are at the range day, so nobody has a rifle. So all of the rifles are being used for qualification or for training when we have active shooter training or something to that effect. So basically, what we're doing is we're taking our current complement of rifles that we have and increasing that to allow every officer to be assigned a patrol rifle, so that they all have a patrol rifle, all available for their use.
And this isn't replacing anything, this is just addition to what you
It's
already have?
addition to, so we would be adding 10 of them, so.
And I'm assuming that they're gonna stay in the armory at the station when they're
Correct.
off duty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Are the shotguns still gonna be there? Is that?
So there are
traditionally-
shotguns, and they're limited use shotguns, but for the most part, every officer, when they're out on patrol, they have a patrol rifle and not a shotgun. The shotguns we have less lethal, and it's limited use as to who uses them. Shotguns aren't very accurate as it relates to a patrol rifle over a shotgun. A patrol rifle is much more accurate.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was the rationale behind. I don't know, I guess maybe I'm just stuck in the old days where just Billy clubbed them and
Back in the old days.
you had
Collateral
had the
damage.
shotguns, and the rationale actually just behind the rifle itself and the reasoning behind like suppressors. I get the red dot thing, that's obviously,
Right. So actually, I mean, as it relates to the suppressors, one of the big things that you run into with a patrol rifle is the noise from a patrol rifle is so loud that it diminishes the hearing. And if you're in an enclosed area, if you were in an active shooter scenario or something like that, where you're in an enclosed area in a building and you fire that rifle without a suppressor, the noise from that is going to take away your ability to communicate with anybody at that point. So now not only do we have a problem where it's an active shooter, but we have an active shooter with an officer on scene who doesn't have communications anymore, because even though his communication system works, he can't hear. He or she can't hear. So that's why all of the ones that we have now do have suppressors on them, and it makes quite a difference.
yeah. Okay, it just seemed to me excessive as far as the rifle thing. I don't know, I know times have changed, whatever, as far as, like, if there was a scenario that terrible that you guys would be calling in, whatever, you're saying active shooter, but I get it, you guys are the first ones on a scene.
Yeah, so I mean, the big theory behind it is any active shooter scenario that you have is generally gonna be the officers that are responding are the ones who are gonna most likely engage that individual and not, not a SWAT team or an SRT team that would arrive much later. And, that is the rationale, behind having them well-equipped and having the ability to deal with that individual. If you're dealing with small arms, it's close quarter combat situation rather than a rifle. A rifle gives you an opportunity to have time and distance. It allows you much more accuracy, and an ability to be, you don't want any residual casualties as well.
I make a motion.
I just had one question. So do we have the rifles that we currently have? Are those on a replacement plan?
Those current, yes, yes.
Okay, because you have like the new ones, the lifespan will be 10 years. So we'll be replacing out the other ones as they get to the 10-year mark?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Matt, go ahead. Motion?
Make a motion.
Is there a
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Next is Resolution 2026-25, which is to authorize $43,931.98 from free cash for the replacement of X26P units at the Palmer Police Department.
Her X26P units.
So an X26P is it's a model of a Taser. It's a Taser model.
So for that amount of money, we're replacing all of them?
So yes, it would replace all of them and it would give, so currently we have the X26Ps that we have are 10 years old. They basically have a 5-year life before, as far as their warranty goes.
What do they do with the old ones?
So the old ones,
Just asking.
so, I mean, we would retire them at this
He's
point.
married too.
They're not for resale. But we would retire them at this point. A lot of the older ones, we're starting to have problems with them, and the repair costs to get them repaired is going to be close to what it costs to get a new one anyway. So the X26P is the one that we use at the present time. There's a couple of different models of tasers, but we start going up into price considerably when we start stepping out of the X20P platform. The X20P platform, I did talk to the vendor, and they told me that they would still be supporting that well into the 5-year life of it. So, and that is the cheaper option of the options out there. So an X7, for example, is the next step up. It's a different Taser platform, but it's considerably more expensive. So to do what we want to do with the X26Ps, if we were to do those with the X7, it would be around $143,000. And then we go into another model, which is getting way up there, but
Cartridges, or is that just the battery thing or whatever?
yes, so the X26P takes a cartridge that has probes. And so when you're looking at the cartridge is for it's basically it would be the bullets of the gun, basically, is the best example for it. So the battery, it's listed as batteries there. So these are cartridges, batteries. This also includes the holsters, to replace the holsters that we have, and some training stuff as well.
The cartridges, though, they're rechargeable.
The cartridges, no, the batteries. So the batteries, you get a couple of years out of a battery, actually, and the cartridges, once fired, that's it. They're can't be reused. So
It expels the
the two probes in it. Yeah.
Ocean, yeah.
Should we, at this cost, shouldn't we be looking into replacing them a few at a time every so many years versus all at once? Or
This is one where I would recommend we do the whole fleet at once. It's not like
Always?
a computer plan. I just think it makes sense to, because if you do change models, let's say, you want to switch altogether. You don't want to have an older model and with some staff and then a newer model with others.
well, cost prohibitive at the time, probably. I mean, 143,000 is a huge difference. You know, if you're going to another model, he said the next model up was 143 to replace everything. So maybe it would be in our best interest to slowly phase in a new model than it would be to replace everything if
Yeah,
we
I
could
think for
afford it.
training purposes, though.
No, I understand
wanna
too. There's
keep
lots
a
of different.
consistency, yeah.
I'm just saying for the cost.
Yeah, but also
Would it be looking at something like that? That's all.
does it warrant us having more technical tasers?
Right. How often are
That's
they
the
used?
question. Is that like, do we need the more technical tasers, or are these
No,
appropriate
Brad
for
just,
our?
no, just Brad just brought up that if we're
Yeah.
going to phase in a new model, then you'd want to do it all at once. And I agree. I'm just saying, for the cost of some things that we do here in town, maybe we should get on like a replacement program where we're not having to do it all as a lump sum. That's all I'm saying. This may not be the best fit for that. I'm just bringing it up.
Do you have a maintenance agreement for these?
So for these will be, this is the, comes with the standard 1-year warranty with the X26P. So now you start,
Like extended warranty though, because don't they, like, they'll phase out at points, so if they say it's 5 years, at 5 years, they don't cover them anymore, right?
correct.
But you can have like year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5, with the maintenance agreement if something goes wrong, and then year 6, you're literally on your own, right?
Right. So historically, with the X26P, we haven't had any problems within that timeframe.
Okay.
And like I said, our X26P right now, we're at about the 10-year mark with X26Ps, and now we're beginning to have problems with them. So when you consider the fact that they are pooled tools or pooled weapons, you increase the amount of use that they actually get. So these are actually going to get much less use. So one example is a taser. Every time a taser gets taken out by somebody, it has to go through a 5-second test cycle. So you're basically, in 1 year of one individual having a taser assigned to them, currently the tasers that we assign and they're pooled, they go through 3 tests a day. So those tasers are cycled in and out, in 1 year to the equivalent of 3 years. But if we have tasers that are individually assigned to individuals, and that individuals, they're only doing their test, 1 test a day. It's not getting 3 tests a day. So, and like I said, the X26Ps, we haven't had any problems with them within their warranty period.
You just said it's 1 year, right?
So the warranty, within the 5-year period that we've had them. We've had them for 10 years, and we're having
Okay.
problems
So you
with
don't
them now.
feel, you
So we
don't
definitely
feel
got our
it's,
money's worth off.
We definitely got our money.
that's not what, no, that's not
Yes.
what I'm asking though.
Right.
I'm just asking, so you don't feel it's necessary to do a maintenance agreement for
No, and the
them?
X26P really doesn't have a really extensive agreement. I mean, they do have them, but I just don't think it's worth
Okay.
the cost for.
Plus, you're saying if everybody's going to be issued one, you either get less usage out of them all,
Yes.
and they should last just as long, if not longer. But if not, you don't want to push it, obviously. But yes,
Yes, and when you start stepping up to the X7 and the X10, those are really advanced platforms, and I would definitely recommend that if you're going to go to that, and the amount of money that you're spending is an extreme amount of money compared to this, so it really would be worthwhile to get the plans. And those platforms that they have, they have lease agreements, and it really gets pretty pricey when you start stepping away from the X26P and into the other models.
I meant to ask this before we approve the first one, Brad. What is our current free cash balance that we're pulling from
Well, we got free cash approved for 5.1
for this? Right now, we have.
for fiscal year 25. Available for 26. We had 5.1.
Okay.
Yep. Now that's not to say it all goes to capital. We got to
No,
go to
no,
our
I
financial
understand,
policies,
yeah,
but that's
of
what.
course, yeah.
Yeah. We may
We're
have
pulling
approved-
from free cash. I'm just curious what that balance was.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think we may have approved a couple projects along the way too from that, but we still have a hefty available balance on there.
Sounds good. I make a motion. We approve this.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Can we just add tasers to the resolution, just so we know what those are going forward?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, next is Resolution 2026-26 to authorize $11,883.54 from free cash to replace VHF antennas for the Palmer Police Department. Chief?
Okay, so this is for a replacement of two fiberglass antennas that are on our main repeater on Breckenridge. We've had some issues with communications that were associated with that, and they did some sweep testing associated with the antennas located there, and they found that they were not performing to the acceptable standards. There's basically some signal degradation as it relates to that site up there. And those antennas that are up there have been up there now, I believe, for 12 years.
I was just gonna ask that,
two
because I
that
thought we
were-
just did
Yes.
upgrades.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that
so-
too, there was holes they didn't,
It's been that long already, yeah, 'cause I know
So-
when we did the police, has it been that long?
Yeah, so we started
We
the,
did a lot of that.
we did, we
Right.
started the narrow banding, I believe it was back, I believe it was 2010 when we actually started it. But that project actually covered a few years.
With repeaters or something that was also,
They came back, there were some
Yeah,
issues
yeah.
She doesn't want-
associated with the project that actually,
Are you here for Palmer Motorsports? No, okay, town council meeting? Okay, just checking, town council. Sorry.
so, no, that's okay. So yes, so they were back, the ones that we're looking at replacing, I believe, was 2014 when
Right,
they
that
were
was-
changed, because they were changed during that process, but that.
It was when we did Old Warren Road, right? We
Yes.
put a new repeater up on Old Warren Road, and then the Hovey repeater got replaced, right?
Yeah, because we have, so yeah, there are five different voting sites, and two, there's the main repeater and then the backup repeater on Peterson, so all of them were updated at that time.
Make a motion, we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Bye.
That'd be quicker.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thanks, chief.
thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the Three Rivers siphon update. Tony DeCruz, Ty and Bond, and Ken Lord, the wastewater treatment plant superintendent. And anyone else who wants to come up.
The presentation?
It's up already.
It should be. Oh, that's so weird. Sorry. I don't have it, I can't see it on my computer, so forgive me.
You just have to drag it over to your screen.
There you go.
yeah.
Presentation mode here, but not there. Hold on. There you go. Sorry about that.
Thanks for having us. So with me tonight is Matt Kirk. Matt is the project manager on this project, and we just lost the screens.
There you go.
Let's hope this works. Back in March, we submitted to the town a report on the junction structure in Three Rivers, where we looked at a variety of different things, including the structure itself, the three siphon barrels that go underneath the river to the treatment plant, as well as the three lines that come into the siphon structure. So we looked at the existing conditions. We developed some alternatives for repair and replacement, and then assigned some costs associated with those alternatives and a recommendation at the end. Kind of difficult to see here, but the right in the center of the screen in blue is what we investigated. So you have a line from the south coming in, a 30-inch line coming in from the south from the AMVETS. You have a line from the north coming in that goes all the way, comes all the way from Route 181 and the courthouse. And then you have the lines that go underneath the river, and those are three lines, three barrels, 12, 18, and 24, that we looked at, CCTV'd, and evaluated. So the siphon structure itself, this is just a general view. Matt, why don't you describe to the council what we're looking at and the condition that it's in?
Yeah, so what you're looking at in this photo here is on the inside of the structure, down at the invert of the structure where the sewage comes into the structure. What you're looking at the far side of the picture is actually where it exits the structure and heads to the siphons underneath. the Ware River. Got some other photos here just kind of showing the overall condition of the siphon head structure. As you can see from these pictures here, there's some degradation going on with the concrete on the walls. The metal grating for standing is completely gone. So if you see the two channels on the top and the bottom of that photo, those at once had metal grating over those channels so that workers could get in there and safely access it without having to navigate through the channels. And these were some photos taken by our sub, who actually did some concrete testing on the inside of this structure. Both of these photos are of the main 12-inch discharge barrel. As you can see, the concrete in both of these photos is severely degraded just from the H2S gas buildup that you guys have currently present in your sewage systems.
So the H2S it generates at the pump stations, right, from long detention times in the wet wells. And then when it gets discharged, that H2S gas actually creates sulfuric acid, and that eats at anything that's concrete, anything that is steel. It's very corrosive. And as you can see here, that is extremely corroded. A lot of the steel is gone. I mean, literally gone. There should be grates over these troughs, these inverts. There's no signs of the steel left. So the other piece that we did is we looked at the 3 siphon pipelines that go under the river to the treatment plant. And we'll talk about the first. There's a 12, an 18, and a 24. When we TV'd the 12, we found that a segment of the 12-inch siphon, and I don't remember the exact distance, but 35 feet
from the structure
from
itself.
the structure headed towards the river, there was no pipe. There was no bottom to the pipe. It was gone. So this is a camera view of that 12-inch siphon. Kind of hard to see, but it shows that there is no bottom to that pipe. So much so that the equipment used to clean and TV actually got stuck in the soil.
So does that mean that everything that's going through it is just getting leached into?
It was.
It was.
And not anymore. We so after doing the cleaning on the 18 and the 24, what we did is we bulkheaded or we plugged temporarily the 12, so all the flow is going through the 18 and the 24, which were not just TV'd, but they were also cleaned. There was a lot of sediment in there, so everything was cleaned out. So things are operating okay for now, right? And then we looked at the interceptors. And the interceptors, again, those 3 lines that come in from the north to south, and call it from the neighborhood. And the one that is of concern is this one here, the 30-inch from the south.
Yep. So this photo that you're looking at here is actually on the interior of the pipe of the 30-inch interceptor coming from the south that goes through the AmVets parking lot. That yellow stuff that you see on the side of the pipe there is actually the remnants of the rebar that's in the reinforcing steel of the pipe. Yep. So it is getting corroded the same way the structure is from the H2S gas. Like Tony alluded to in the first picture, we had only looked at the first segment immediately upstream of the structure. But we think that the rest of the pipe running from Main, is it North Main or Main?
It's Main.
Main Street all the way to the structure is going to have the same issues.
We expect it to be worse as you get closer to Main Street.
So fortunately, for the siphon that comes in from the north, after doing the CCTV work of the segment immediately upstream of the siphon head structure, and then also looking at the manhole where the force main discharges by the courthouse, it seemed like it was in much better shape than this one coming in here.
We still recommend that it be CCTV'd. We carried a slight allowance in here to do that. And the reason we say is it's a long line, right? If you can imagine, from the courthouse all the way to the junction structure. And it's all cross-country, so it's all through the backyards. And there's no easy access to get in there. Under a separate effort, the town is currently surveying all these cross-country easements. Not just that one, but those in Thorndike, down in Depot Village. And they're all being surveyed. with the intent that sometime next year or the following year, or when the town decides, they will be able to go in there and essentially clear and grub some of these cross-country runs so that the town can actually get access to these structures, because some of these structures haven't been accessed in 30, 40 years. So what we're suggesting is, on the line that goes to the north, which we don't think is compromised, just from due diligence, I would recommend that that line be TV'd nonetheless in the next year or two.
TV.
The line to the south that goes to
What do you mean by
Amvets.
that, Tony?
Sorry?
TV'd, you said?
CCTV, so we'll send a
Send a
camera down
okay.
there and look at the condition of the pipe. We think it's in good shape based on the pieces that we were able to access. We think it's in good shape. The line that comes in from the neighborhood is a PVC line, so PVC plastic is not impacted by hydrogen sulfide. The line to the south that goes through the Amvets all the way to Main Street, severely impacted. Where those yellow streaks are, those are supposed to be reinforcing rebar, steel, on the pipe, and as you can see, there's not much, if anything, left of that reinforcing steel.
So when you were to upgrade this, is that what you would go to the PVC?
No, what we would do in this condition here, you could.
Because of
You could
degradation.
dig it and replace it, but what we would do is, and what we recommend is what's called the cured in place lining. So they take, call it a sock, and they push it down the line, and then they cure it with UV or hot water or steam. Typically nowadays it's
Sleeving it.
UV. And it expands out and it creates a pipe within a pipe, and that liner becomes a structural pipe, even stronger than if you were to put a new pipe in the ground. So we just use the old pipe as sort of a host.
Right.
One interesting comment, though, that we had earlier in our conversation was that a lot of these problems are most likely due to the wastewater and the separation for the runoff water project that we did years ago, and we separated everything because the fact that we don't have all that extra rainwater going through the pipes to wash everything down is one of the main reasons why we're getting extra gas in the pipes.
Yes. Now, another thing that we've talked to Kenny about is at your pump stations, there are things that you can do to help reduce the generation of hydrogen sulfide. So there's some mixing systems that you can put in that are relatively inexpensive, and there's some chemical addition that you can add to these wet wells, to the waste stream, to help minimize the generation of hydrogen sulfide gas. And that's something that I think over the next year, we'll be talking with Kenny to look into doing that as a standard operating procedure. But this doesn't happen overnight. So I don't want you to think that, in the last 10 years, had we done something, we would have saved it. Probably not. This is definitely going on for much longer than that. These pipes are, and this junction structure, we'll put it in the late 70s, 77, 78. So you're already looking at, 45 years. You certainly got use out of it. Had this been PVC pipe, you probably wouldn't have these issues today. Hindsight, right? There's different reasons for using RCP pipe versus PVC. Typically, PVC is a much smaller diameter, 30-inch and above. Typically go with an RCP pipe or something along those lines. Then we looked at some of the alternatives, right? So we looked at, what do we do with the siphon structure? Can we rehab it? Yes, we can rehab it. It needs a whole new roof. All the existing spalled concrete needs to be chipped away, and then it has to be coated. And we estimate that is about a $910,000 effort. These are just kind of conceptual numbers. And then we looked at, okay, well, what if we don't rehab it and we just replace it with a new one? And that came in at $940,000. And we're recommending the replacement. And you might say, well, why spend $30,000 more? Well, it's the disruption to the neighborhood, right? So if we have to rehab it, we're going to be putting out temporary pumps out there and pumping for months while they rehab the structure. If you replace it, you're going to only pump for maybe 2 or 3 weeks and drop the new structure in, and you're in and out, and it's less disruptive. There's also the unknowns with rehabbing the structure, right? We could start chipping away at some of the old concrete and find that it's more extensive than we thought. right? So for the
Yeah,
delta in
the
cost,
cost could, once you start getting into it, the cost could escalate over
It
what,
could.
replacing it.
and for
As you say,
30,000.
the ease of digging it out and replacing it, it's just,
I think it's the
it's
best
a
option.
no-brainer, quite frankly, to have it done right the first time and not like stuff coming back to us, oh geez, hey,
Yep, agreed.
just fix it right the first time.
And then we looked at a variety of different options with the 3 barrels. We looked at repairing the 12, and we looked at repairing the 12 and upgrading one of the other barrels. We looked at which ones make most sense. And in the report, there's a lot of, I'll call it jargon in there, from your perspective probably, but it's looking at the capacity, how would these siphons operate under today's flows, right? These things were designed back in the 70s when
take
they
all the
expected to take a lot more flow than they do today. And there's a lot of flexibility there because you're seeing a lot less flow here. Our recommendation, however, is still the 5.2.2, which is to repair the 12 and line all 3. And the 12 and the 18 would be the primary siphons that operate, and the 24 would be, and call it an emergency siphon. And you might say, well, it's, roughly $250,000 more. Well, yes, but if you don't have it and something happens in the future, to get that other siphon operational, it'll cost you a lot more than $250,000. So our recommendation is repair the 12 and then line all 3 of them, and operate 2, and operating the 12 and the 18 based on the existing flows as stipulated in the report. You actually get a lot of flushing velocities through there, so it'll clean itself out. If you do the 18 or do the 24, it's going to be more operational maintenance to the town because you're not going to have those flushing velocities. They're going to have to go in there periodically and clean the lines. They'll have to go there and manually operate the weirs so that they can divert flow from, say, the 18 to the 24. We go through scenarios in the report that says, that they may have to go out there 3 times a year. They may have to go out there 12 times a year. If you do the 3 barrels, it's very minimal operational and maintenance.
And the third one, as you were saying, that was like, you kind of answered the question of, why wouldn't you just rely on one?
If you look
You're-
at 5.2.4, the least expensive, it's going to create a lot more labor
Well,
visits.
you're having
out.
one for an emergency backup, like if something went wrong, you can easily switch over to your other barrels.
That is correct. And then the third piece of this is where we added in the interceptor, and so that $890,000 on the bottom, we're assuming that the entire line from the south, from the junction structure to AmVets Main Street, that all of that is going to have to be replaced. Again, we only TV the first segment. In the next phase of this project, we would TV the rest, just to confirm, but we're pretty confident that it's going to be required. And then you can see the other one, the north interceptor. That's the line that goes over to 181 in the courthouse. We're just carrying a budget of about $10,800 to TV that next year or the year after, because we don't, based on what we've already done, we think it's in fairly good condition. But again, for $10,000, I would TV the rest of it. And then here's the summary of the recommendations, right? The replacement of the head structure, going with option 5.2.2, which essentially is repair the 12-inch and line the 12, 18, and 24, operate the 12 and 18 on their current flows, 24 is an emergency, and then the third item there, the 890, is to reline the existing 30-inch from the north through the AMVATs, that stretch in there. So $2.9 million. That includes some general contingency numbers in there, 40%. We're at a conceptual level here. As you get into the design, you kind of fine tune that. I would hope that that number would actually go down and not up, right? Because there's just so many unknowns right now that we're just kind of trying to give you the worst-case scenario. The last thing we want to do is give you a low number, get through the design and say, hey, by the way, it's gonna be a lot
Yeah,
more.
I don't like
A lot easier to come back and say, we got through the design and we're thinking.
Yeah, I'd rather you be the hero.
True.
Coming back and saying, hey, by the way, we need another 3 mil.
It's an expensive piece,
Oh,
but
I mean-
just keep in mind that 90 to 95% of the town's flow to the treatment plant goes through these lines.
Right.
So, since Ty and Bond did the rate study for the sewer users, and this, at the time, I don't think was included.
I believe they included, I'd have to go back and double check, but I believe something was included, yes.
A portion of the project was
I wanna
included, yeah.
say, Kenny, do you recall? I wanna say 1.2 or 1.5 million, this is well before we've
Right.
done any work
Right.
on this. I think it was in there. I can get back to you with the exact number. It's
Right.
There's a capital list in that rate study.
Correct, and I think actually, when you're looking at that list, we've already checked off a couple of the projects that
Yes.
were on the list,
Yes.
which is good too, because we did them early when we had the chance to.
Yep.
Right, so, but I would like, at some point, not today, I'm not requesting anything, but I mean, we
Maybe
should
update the rate
I
study.
was gonna say, people are gonna wanna know, $2.9 million roughly,
Are you
right now.
3 mil.
Right,
So-
to just the sewer ratepayers is going to go up exponentially at some point.
You do have a rate study that was done and updated 2-3 years ago, Brad. I'd have to go back.
For me, I think it was 3 years.
3 years
It was
ago, right?
2022.
That looked out 5 years, so
Right.
maybe now it's time to
Yeah, this was that
redo it and look out
capital.
another 5 years.
Yeah.
I do believe that there's a lot of items that were checked off, but there are also several items, Kenny, you can fill in on that actually were pushed down the list because stuff like this came up, right? So
Right.
I'm thinking the sludge thickeners project got pushed down the list. The pump stations 1 through 5 renovations got pushed down the list.
The
to accommodate-
centrifuge, right, the centrifuge is already
Centrifuge
in,
is already
right,
there,
that's already
the
going.
UV
The
disinfection.
boiler,
Yep,
that was
that's
all set, that
there.
was on
The
there.
roof is all set, the boiler was done.
Yep, the UV was in process, that was on there,
We're meeting Wednesday on the UV and the centrifuge,
right.
with the 100% drawings to go out to procurement. So that, we're meeting this Wednesday on that. So
then
those are all
maybe-
moving along and,
Yeah.
you know, it's not cast in stone, right? Because there was probably 20 items on that list. So some get dropped down, some get prioritized based on needs.
Right, and some got ticked off totally, so I mean.
Some are done completely.
Right, so then maybe talking with Brad or something, we can work on maybe getting that updated, because I'm sure if we ever go forward, or we're gonna have to go forward, let's say ever, right, we're gonna have to fix this, it's a huge
is-
issue, right, this is number one probably now.
Yep.
That we're gonna have to
I-
figure out a way to pay for
You know,
it, so.
based on what we're seeing out there, and the cleaning that was done on the siphons, I think you're fine. What's not it's not operating optimally, right? Because now instead of sending the majority of your flow through the 12, you're sending it through the 18. So things will flow a little bit slower. So sediment will build up a little faster than you would want because you're not getting what's called the flushing velocities through there. The structure is impacted, but now there's Jersey barriers to kind of isolate the structure so nobody can park over it and the thing's gonna
Oh, I'm
collapse.
not talking about postponing it, the problem is that we do that a lot in this town, is that we kick the can down the road and then it becomes twice as expensive, and then we're like, hey, we should have done this years ago.
The one that really concerns me now, believe it or not, is actually the influent pipe from the north, from the AMVets. Given the condition that we saw on that TV, the interior is completely compromised. That could collapse, could potentially collapse. This, believe it or not, the siphons are also concrete, the 3 siphons, and they're in a lot better shape than that one line.
Now, in those pictures where you're seeing the sprawling concrete and you're seeing the rebar exposed, how much of that rebar, like the thickness of the pipe itself, I don't know if you know that answer, but I'm saying, like, once you start seeing rebar, how much pipe is left?
You're about a quarter to halfway through.
Wow.
Typically, it's run somewhere in the middle of the pipe, and the thickness of a 30-inch pipe,
Yeah, it's
RCP,
pretty-
it's got to
pretty
be 3 inches, I think. It's something along those
Just out of
lines.
curiosity, yeah.
But the rebar is actually what gives the structural stability to the
Right.
pipe. It's not the concrete.
Correct, right.
So if you lose the rebar, potentially you lose the stability of that pipe.
Right. Thank you.
So that is, and just based on what we were looking at, that it might be a bigger concern. Yes, the siphon and the structure needs to be repaired, but things are flowing pretty good. There's some confidence there. The pipe coming in with the missing rebar could be,
Catastrophic.
could be the first one to go. And that wasn't even in the realm of things when we first looked at the structure, right? We saw
Right.
issues at the structure. It's when you start doing the investigation that you realize, hey, this is not the beginning of the problem. The beginning of the problem is somewhere else. Let's go find it.
So you said that the one pipe that comes in from over by the courthouse, right? And it goes under, so that comes from what area of town, do you
So
know?
that comes from Pump Station 5 with services Bondsville.
Okay, so that's one area.
So that area, that's the line that we think is in good
Yep.
shape.
And then you have the local neighborhood, which is the
Which is
middle
in good
line, which is
shape
in good
because
shape.
it's a PVC
So you're
pipe.
saying that the bulk of the material that's coming through and going to the plant is going through the AMVETS from Main Street?
No, it's a combination of all three, but what I'm saying is the wastewater that's coming in from Pump Station 3, which is down by the
Bobblehead
Lavallette
Field?
Field, okay?
Yep.
That pump station takes 85% of the flow because Pump Station 1 in Depot Village, Pump Station 2 in Depot Village on 180, all of those pump to Pump Station 3.
Oh, right, that's what I'm saying. So the bulk of the material from the other parts of town
All
are
come
coming
through
through
Pump
that one
Station
main
3.
pipe.
Yes.
Okay, so that's why we see probably more degradation in that pipe than we do.
Possibly.
Okay,
Possible.
which is even more important because if we lose that, then we lose.
Yeah, I mean, just to put it in perspective, right? The pump station or the treatment plant is what's called a 5.2 million gallon a day facility. And I don't remember all the design for all the pump stations in town. I just remember Pump Station 2 because it's always sat in my mind. Pump Station 2 was designed to handle 7.5 million gallons a day.
Wow.
So it was actually designed to handle more flow than the treatment plant, right? Because things take time to get there and things of that nature. Kenny, what's the average day flow now at the plant? 1.7.
Wow.
So you've got a pump station that wants to push out 7.5 million gallons, and you're only looking at 1.7 million gallons at the plant. That's how much stormwater you've removed from your system, which is great, right? Water quality in the rivers is much better. It's less operating costs. It's all good. But now you've got this really big system.
A system that's designed to be this big needs to be that big.
Right.
Which is great because you have capacity, so economic development, all that good stuff is all great, but things don't operate as they were intended when they were first built. It's like taking your kid to school on a 18-wheeler instead of a minivan, right? Think about it from that perspective.
We're not the only community affected
It's
by
funny
this
that
either,
you're
right?
doing that.
Because there are other communities that design
That one
their.
out for you, Phil.
But there are,
Eighth grade at PH to go check out the high school. That's all I had for a vehicle.
but everybody had to do the wastewater separation. So everybody is pretty much in the same boat that had a plant.
So as you
Right.
rehab some of these new systems, say you were to rehab one of the pump stations, you're not going to rehab it for
At
the
that
size
volume.
that it's there.
Unless you know something huge is coming into.
Exactly. But you leave capacity in there.
Got it.
You can always, it's a lot cheaper to increase the size of a pump than it is to, increase the size of a facility, right?
No, that's true.
You design it accordingly.
So it took us 45 years to get to the point that we're at now, where we have significant degradation of the rebar. It's been about 4 years since we found out that this was like critical project that needed immediate attention. Your best estimate. Obviously this is not going to happen overnight. It's a lot of bidding, procurement,
Yeah, you're at least
Building.
probably 2 years out to begin construction. You've got
To
to
begin
design it,
construction.
to begin.
Okay.
You got design, you got permitting, procurement. We're already in May, right? So you're not bidding this until 2027, probably with 2028 construction.
But you're not saying wait on that. You're probably thinking that we should CCTV that
Absolutely.
like tomorrow.
I would.
Right.
yes. It's cheap. It's relatively inexpensive. Let's get it done. If we think it's compromised, that might be the first piece to go.
So that's my question. So the 890,000, let's just say for a minute, we don't do the other two things right now. There's nothing to design, right, for that third option, or is
Yeah,
there?
there is. there
Minimal
is.
design though, since
Yeah,
it's already
minimal.
there?
Yeah, because you're not doing survey, you're not doing any, and the permitting is minimal too. Essentially, what it is they'll bypass the flows from structure to structure. So there's multiple structures along that line, and they hop the flows over, and the line in between, they line it, do their thing, and then do the next piece, next piece, next piece.
So if you camera that line and you see that it is worse than you thought,
And I would recommend you do that immediately.
okay, that's where I'm going with it. And if that was the case, design would be, like, what would ballpark?
60 days.
60 days to design and then put it out
Put it out
to bid?
immediately. Yep.
And does that have to be done, like, spring, summer?
No,
It doesn't matter?
lining can be done anytime.
Even in the winter?
Anytime, we would prefer to
Other than
do
you're
it during the
digging- you're-
dry
Are we digging up,
months.
are we digging up the road
No.
to do that? Okay,
We're going structure to structure.
But yeah,
okay.
to Tony's
There,
point, the
there
only
might
thing
be,
is,
there might be a little bit of, traffic control issues, like on Main Street type of thing.
Okay.
But the bulk of the run is through the AmVets parking lot, so, you know, you have a lot of room in there to do that. You have a lot of room in there to do that.
yeah, just a couple of things. They, depending on the size of the opening of the manholes themselves, they may have to take the frame and cover off in order to get the liner into the actual manhole.
Because this is a 30
Because it's a
inch.
30-inch pipe. And then to Tony's point too, the only time that you really want to try to do this is not during the wet period because you have higher groundwater. And when you have groundwater that gets around the pipe, it makes it harder for them to actually cure that pipe because you essentially have a heat sink of groundwater that's around the pipe.
Okay.
But it's actually a project that you could do in the middle of winter.
So, I don't know if you probably drove by it today, but the state of AmVet's parking lot isn't the best. And it could be related to whatever we're talking about right now.
Yeah, it's,
So,
Don't know.
right.
it's,
I believe
it's
the
as
town
old
owns
as me,
a
if not
30,
older.
I believe the town owns a 30-foot easement
Yeah.
over that pipeline.
So what would we have to do right now to get to the point where we camera that line?
Write a check? Have somebody
Yeah,
out here?
Essentially, we'll write you a scope. It's not us that's gonna be doing it,
Yeah.
right? We're gonna sub it out.
Right.
We'll evaluate it, we'll look at it and make a recommendation. There's nothing holding you back.
I mean, maybe, we should probably at least do that, I would think.
Yeah, no. There's nothing stopping us from taking a look at that and then figuring out a funding mechanism, whether we have to get approval from us or
Fund.
we have money in the budget to cover it, so.
On the other items, I still think, you need to be diligent and work
Yeah.
towards whether it's locally funded through the sewer use rates, whether it's bonding, whatever, right? I wouldn't wait years, right?
No, I just,
But I
based on
think-
what you're saying though about the line, it just seems like it's prudent to at least get that part done while we're
Yeah,
doing
we
everything
at
else.
least know we have 2 barrels of that siphon that are operating. Not optimally, but they're operating,
Right.
right? Whereas before, we thought we were operating in the 12, but we weren't because there's no bottom to that pipe.
And then once this whole project gets done, what's the
Life
life
expectancy.
expectancy? Yeah.
We say 50 years.
Okay.
But remember too, that when these structures were built back in the 70s, it was concrete, right? Today, they'll be concrete, but they'll be lined with epoxy. So they'll be coated, there's more,
Technology has changed.
yeah, things have changed, yes, for sure.
And if we got 40 years out of what,
You should
You know,
easily get another 40, 50 years, yes.
especially now, you're not gonna try and use all three of them, you're gonna use
two.
You're gonna use the smaller of the ones to,
Yeah, up until 15, 20 years ago, all three were being used,
right,
right?
yeah, until
You
you
got
got
the
rid of the,
weather
until you
flow.
got rid of the.
You saw the
wastewater
numbers in
stuff.
here, you were pushing 17 million gallons through those 3 barrels.
Wow.
That's a
based
lot of
on
water that's
historical
actually
data.
going into the, back to your rivers.
And then is the lining of that existing pipe, so is the 890, like if it was a total project and the price is gonna go up just to do one component of it, or?
No, we're assuming the entire run needs to be lined.
From Main Street to
From
the,
Main Street
to the structure.
Yes.
Right, so this isn't, so that's
Oh,
a separate
yeah.
project anyway, technically?
Yeah, so the way that we price these
Okay,
out is
yeah.
as if these were all separate projects that, you know, somebody would come in and because the type of project that each one of these are gonna be done by like a different specialty contractor.
Yeah.
So the person that's gonna, or the company that's gonna do, say, 1 and 3, probably isn't going to do the second one. It'll have like an excavating contractor to actually dig up the structure.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
so it's
you-
not gonna cost us more to just break that out? It shouldn't anyway? Okay,
shouldn't.
okay.
It's a big enough project on its own that it should be
Okay.
fine.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If there are any questions, let us know.
I know where you are.
Break out the TV. Thank you, Toby.
Okay. Next agenda item is zoning amendment, chapter 171-5 is the table of use regulations. And we have a letter from the planning board requesting that that matter be referred back to them. Do I have a motion to do that? Is there a
Make a
second?
motion, or second,
All in favor?
aye.
Next item is zoning amendment, chapter 171-89, accessory dwelling units. Same, referring this back to the planning board.
Yeah, just have a quick question on that. I know Heidi's not here to answer, but I know the state changed the rules on ADUs. Is that why we're updating? Because we don't currently allow, right? According to our planning, our zoning?
I think they included the language, the current existing language in the supplemental information we got for the packet. So there was language that existed, but all of this is to come into compliance
With
with
MGL?
all
new-
three of
The new
the.
stuff, okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, that's one that's drastically changed over the last.
That's huge,
2
yeah.
years, Yeah.
I'm sorry, did we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Thank you.
All in favor?
aye.
Next, we have a zoning amendment, chapter 171-94, signs.
I have a question on that, because isn't signage a bylaw? We have a bylaw for signage.
The zoning ordinance.
I thought it was a town council ordinance.
Signs?
Yeah, I thought signage was a council ordinance. I know it's in zoning, but don't we have a council ordinance on signage?
I don't think so, do we?
No,
Okay, no, I just want to make sure if we did or not.
that's definitely included
Yeah,
in
you
our
can't go
zoning ordinance.
Stapling stuff to your telephone poles
Yeah.
for elections.
Okay.
Yeah, we do have that one, you're right.
Okay, Carol.
I know.
I make a motion.
Pictures of me.
Okay. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have resolution 2026-27 to declare parcel ID 14-17-10 located on Country Lane as surplus property available for disposition without any restrictions. Brad?
So this has been consistent since I started here. We've had about 3 or 4 different parcels that folks have inquired about obtaining from the town. The problem is with the new changes and everything, it's not really super cost effective to go through the process to get rid of the land value that's assessed for low value. This is one specifically though that we've had multiple parties interested in. It is not currently eligible the way it's constructed for development. However, there's multiple abutters to this parcel that could reconfigure their existing parcels to make this a buildable lot. So it does have value. But for procurement purposes, when it's a sale of below 35,000, if the assessed value is below 35,000, the sale price will be below 35,000. It's not a standard auction style RFP process. It gives the town manager the ability to use sound business practices. So my thought would be to, once we get this approval, go back to both parties who've expressed interest, give them a deadline to submit their final and best offer, and then move forward with it through that
Gives you the
process.
best- That was gonna be my question.
Exactly. Yeah.
Why does the town have it?
No clue. This stems back, I think, from 1940. We took ownership on it.
Well, it says on the property record card that it was a tax title.
That's what I was just going to
Supplemental
look.
data.
Still, whether we took it through tax title or not, because it's got the low assessed value, we still are in compliance with moving forward on selling. This is when I worked specifically with legal on, and they did not feel like there was any legal issues to worry about, to go through the process. Council declares the surplus, and we move on from it. If we want to table it, and I can follow up for more details, but like I said, I worked extensively with legal on this already.
No, just curious on how we came to acquire, purchase, or acquire, let's say, the property. And if it was all the way back in the 1940s and we've just been sitting on it, then I don't see any reason why we don't unload it.
And there's a lot of these that we really need to do an assessment on to figure out, why does the town own them?
Is it big enough for a soccer field?
No.
Okay.
No.
Well, hey. Don't know what's
Yeah,
next,
soccer field in somebody's front yard.
They might enjoy it.
There might be fans.
So when you talked to the attorney, did he realize that it was obtained through tax title?
I'm assuming yes, but I can, if we want to postpone this, there's no harm in doing it. I don't think
Till
either
our
party's
next
gonna lose
meeting?
interest
Okay.
if we want more information.
I just want to make sure that there's no different stipulation of getting rid of it if it's
Does
a
that
tax
change
title
anything if it's
property.
by tax title?
I'm not sure. 100%.
Potentially, but I
curious.
think based on the value,
Gotcha.
no, but I can circle back.
Sure.
Okay. All right, so we'll bring that back at our June meeting. Okay, next item on the agenda is Resolution 2026-28 to approve the proposed revisions to the group health and life insurance policy.
Yep, so, I've had conversations, not as a whole, but, with different, members of the council along the way about looking at these policies and trying to come up with the best solution that's best practice for our long-term budgeting process. As you guys know, health insurance takes up a major portion of our budget, and it is not getting cheaper. It's only gonna continue to exponentially rise. One thing I looked around for when I first started here was what our comps were. I know I provided this as a backup sheet in there too. If you look at that, most municipalities surrounding us are 50-50 for retirees. To be fair to the employees who retired a long time ago, my recommendation would be to set a date that only impacts future retirees on going to 50-50. That way, when you have someone who is really making a couple $100, let's say, a year in retirement, that they're not all of a sudden having to pay out of pocket, over the counter check to us to cover the health insurance premium. So there's two pieces to this. The first piece is my recommendation to look at a set date. Right now I have June 1st of 2027 on there. July 1st of 2027, excuse me, which is the close and the beginning of a fiscal year. But that's up for the council to decide. I had reached out to the Insurance Advisory Committee and all the unions. The feedback I got was only from 2 unions, and one of them requested that we phased in over a 10-year period. So like, let's say you went to, you staged it where rather than you take right away, you set a date to go 50-50, you would take off 2.5% each year over a 10-year period to get you to the 50-50. And then the other union acknowledged the change for it and felt like there wasn't specifically impacts for that. We're going to impact their staff right away because it was a longer term play. But again, this comes with everything else. This is not no one wants to be in this situation, but other communities around us have already acknowledged that retiree health insurance is not getting cheaper. It's only going to continue to grow, and they've made that assessment and they've made that change to their plans. So my recommendation right now is to look for a July 1st, 2027 date, but that is up for the council to vote on and decide and discuss. Like I said, you may want to change that, but the goal would be to do it for a fiscal year change period. So the teachers, let's say, if you set this as a January 1 date, you don't want a mid-year, when teachers all of a sudden say, I'm going to retire, I'm going to go in January. You don't want the school to have to go through that hiring process. So that's why you usually see these stuck with a July 1, or stick with a July 1 date on those. And then the second part of that is I'm requesting a opt-out incentive. I know I quickly mentioned this at a prior meeting. We have a survey of all, I shouldn't say a lot of local communities, but a survey of all Massachusetts communities that have an opt-out incentive, and their range anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000, depending on if you're individual or family. My recommendation, this will be a 1-year trial period. We can always circle back and determine whether or not we want to continue on with this plan. Is a $3,000 family incentive if you opt out, and a $1,500 individual incentive. And there is criteria behind that, so it's not someone can come in, get on our health insurance plan for a month, and then all of a sudden say, I'm going to opt out. You have to be on the plan for a minimum of a year. And I gave you a sample policy in there that we would follow. But the other alternative too is we don't have to vote on this tonight, because none of these would take impact to either July 1 of this year or future for the 50-50 for retirees, or I should say all new retirees, because I want to emphasize that we are not, my recommendation to the council is not to change current retirees to a 50-50 model. It would only be a set date, all retirees as of that date going forward to 50-50. And again, it's not an area that I want to recommend at all, but reality is with budgeting and long-term planning, other communities have made this play. We need to start looking at that and making future financial decisions.
I know I probably asked this not when you were been around, but to me, why wouldn't it be like opposite? You just started the job so that you're an active employee, you got 20 years before you can retire, that they would pay 50-50, and then when you retired, it would go the other way, because now you're retired, you're not making as much, why?
Well, there's a flip side to that too, though, because when you retire, though, you can get Medicare.
Which cuts the
you're
cost.
forced to, unless you are a state
Correct.
person. If you
Right.
work for the state or the town, you don't.
No, that's
Right?
not true. That's Social Security. I think you're thinking of Social Security.
But I don't know, that's just my thought is, because, I don't know, I'm there. I'm set, whatever, but it's just like, everyone says your golden years, you better have a pot of gold. But it's just, to me, it's always, the elderly are the ones that get the kick, where if, like when you started, say, okay, I'm gonna work for the DPW my whole life here. I'm gonna pay 50-50, but when I retire, I'm gonna pay less. It just seems, for lack of words, ass backwards to me.
Well, we would be having this conversation if the insurance didn't go up 30%.
Yeah, well, I think long-term, right? And again,
Well, you should still, because
Right.
you still, when someone gets old and weak, they
Right.
keep getting kicked in the,
Right,
they
I
just
gotcha.
keep getting it.
Well, I believe that we're actually required to move everybody to a 50-50 plan, but we haven't historically for whatever reason. But I believe it's a Mass General law that we actually would have had to accept to keep employees at a different percentage that we never accepted, if I'm correct.
that's true.
So, I mean,
So the
technically.
state's dictating what we,
No,
is
well,
what you're saying?
they gave us an option. We chose
Yeah.
to.
Okay,
We
'cause
chose.
I'm gonna say,
let's
if
we
they wanna
chose-
dictate what we gotta do, then let them pay it. I mean, I don't know.
Well, they probably created that to help out municipalities that were in this bind, right? And that's where, if you look back at what the town has adopted, we adopted the section that calls out that says we should only contribute 50-50 for retirees. And this dates back, I don't know what year we adopted it, but a long,
Yeah.
long time ago. Now, we have not followed that policy, but I think it's time to address that.
Yeah, I get it. I
And the
just
budget is
trying
not gonna, as you guys know,
grasp
like,
the
we're
Logic behind it all.
we're at the cusp of like discussion of significant reductions or the question of an override. And And I don't think, we all, I think, acknowledge that an override is not gonna pass here in town. So these are the small things we can do along the way to help our budget sustain itself over a long-term period.
Right, we're trying to be more proactive than reactive, right?
Correct.
So if we get hit with another 30% next year, there is no option, right? We can't get ahead of a 30%, hit again in insurance. That's horrible.
Exactly.
So we're gonna try to do whatever we can to mitigate whatever we can at the moment. And I think what we're doing is actually puts us in a better position, because look at all the other towns around us going for overrides and they're failing, and now they have to figure out what they're gonna cut. And I don't think people realize how bad it's gonna be. The state's not gonna come in and bail everybody out.
No, and these are the hard conversations, and that's where I look again, I think I speak for the council on this. This is not an area we want to look at, but the reality is when you look around us, everyone else has opted into this. We are the last one standing, realistically, locally, that has a different rate for retirees that's not 50/50. And we're following, honestly, the change of this, we're following the MGL we adopted a long time ago.
1968.
1968?
It's in our packet.
Wow.
But the idea, Phil, though, is that the cost of insurance, it's less expensive for like an active plan versus when you have Medicare Part A and B.
Right.
And then it's the supplemental insurance that you're paying through the town.
The risk for an older person becomes higher.
No, 80% is covered by Social Security, Medicare Parts A and B. 20% is the supplemental insurance that they would be getting from the town, so the cost is less expensive than an active plan. And so that's the reasoning. But I did speak to Brad earlier today. There was a few sections in here that I thought that we should just tighten up a little bit. And one of the things that we were looking to put in place was a post-65 plan, which is basically at 65, you are required to sign up for Part B. So you're required to go into the Social Security. A, you get for free, B, you would sign up for. And I didn't feel like the language that was in here was concise enough to make that clear. So I'd like for us to table this to our June meeting so that I can get with Brad and Danica or whoever, just to kind of talk to them about and it's basically all the sections that talk about, if you're a retiree going into, so it's on page 2, I believe, where it starts talking about the retired employees, just making that a little bit more concise to explain what we're trying to do. And that in itself, that post-65 plan, by requiring people to go into getting Part B, it takes that, so right now, if they stay in the active plan and they're 65 or over, we're responsible for 100% of their insurance costs. But if we do the force of forcing them to sign up for Part B, that switches so that 80% is Social Security, 20% of the burden is then on the town, which would eliminate some of the cost of the insurance, the cost of claims to the town. There's no penalty or anything for the employee, it's just a matter, or the retiree, it's just a matter of them signing up and paying their Part B premium through Social Security, or if they're not eligible for Social Security, they
Everybody
get.
at 65 had to.
If you work for a municipality, you haven't contributed to Social Security, so unless you qualify under a spouse or an ex-spouse, you usually don't. But anyway, again, it's not anything about being, like, penalizing anything, but again, it's trying to take some of the burden of the cost of health insurance off the town, so that we don't get to the point next year or the year after, or whenever it may be here, where we have to be looking at people as opposed to just plan alternatives for health insurance. And I don't think anything that we're doing is any different than what's done in the private sector. So if everybody could just review this so that we definitely have to vote it at our next meeting so that Brad can so these dates start moving forward. But if there's anything that anybody sees in any other areas that they want to adjust, reach out to Brad. Okay?
Yep.
Subcommittee reports. Anybody?
Budget subcommittee is pretty much done, right?
One more meeting?
One more meeting.
Probably.
Yep, everything looks good. We have a balanced budget. We're just finalizing some, things here and there, right? We gotta just figure out, make sure all the numbers are in the right place. Which is very good because a lot of towns don't have a balanced budget. And I'm gonna keep bringing that up, because if you look in the news, Munson's hurting, Wilbraham's hurting, Ludlow's hurting, everybody's hurting around us. So we are, doing good at the moment,
Yeah,
so.
and it's hard decisions that we all have to make, I think, along the way that help you manage that, and we avoid the fiscal crisis. But even with all the changes, there's only so much you can do when you get a health insurance increase that's 35%. It's tough
That's nuts.
to manage that, so.
Right.
So we'll be having the public hearing on the budget at our June,
Correct.
our first June our regular scheduled June meeting,
Yep.
and then we'll have another meeting later on in the month of June to.
Schedule, this
Yeah,
should be
we'll,
before July, right?
yeah, we'll schedule the second date at our June meeting, so bring your calendars.
Okay.
The ordinance committee also is just
Can't be
about
the
wrapping up.
18th.
The ordinance committee is also just about wrapping up. I think we have a meeting on Thursday, right? Thursday night, I think is one of our last meetings.
Yep, should be the final meeting.
All of the recommendations that I can't say we, because I've only been to a couple meetings because I've been traveling. They have all been pushed back to the respective departments, correct, for review? And then the ordinance committee, our council ordinance committee, should be expected to get some of that back, or is that, a lot of that is on the?
Definitely. There's gonna be the large majority, once we dug into it, had a lot of substantive changes. They're gonna have to be approved by the budget, not the budget
The
subcommittee.
council
Yes.
ordinance committee.
Yes,
Got it.
a long day.
No worries. And that's all I have for that. Those are the only two that I'm aware of at the moment with anything going on.
So Phil did throw out a date, so maybe we can just do this right now, because our regular meeting is the 8th, that'll be the public hearing. I'm not available that following Monday, so does the 22nd work for people?
Sounds like
That's a Monday.
Yeah,
I will not be available that day.
I will, but
Mondays are okay.
do you have another day that week? Is it just that day?
Just that day, that Monday, I'm not available.
Do it Tuesday?
Can we do Tuesday then?
I can't make it then.
Okay,
Wednesday I can.
Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday?
as of right now, it looks okay in my calendar.
It's not gonna be long though, right? Okay. Thursday the what?
25th?
It's pretty close to the end of the year, but, yeah, I mean, because I'm not here the 15th, 16th, 17th. Phil can't do the 18th.
No,
so-
never mind, I'm good.
You're good on
That's
the
just a budget
I was
approval,
thinking
right?
July.
That's just a
I'd be
quick-
okay for
Oh,
that.
June
sorry.
8th, oh,
June 18th.
how about
July.
June, how
I
about
gotta-
June 18th then?
All right, hold on, let me look.
I thought he said,
Much better.
Which day?
Seems
June
okay.
June
18th, the Thursday before that, I'm good.
yeah,
Now it's the 18th?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, in a minute it will be,
Maybe.
hopefully. Everybody good on the 18th?
6 or
Yep.
6:30?
18th?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Okay, so the 18th at 6, does that work for everyone?
Yep.
Works for
Okay.
me. And that's just gonna be voting on the budget, correct?
Yep, the
Should be a
budget,
quick,
probably the budget, the revolving funds, but yeah, just budget-related items. Nothing else. Okay, so public hearing on the budget will be June 8th, budget vote will be June 18th.
I know.
All right, town manager's report.
All right, so I'm working on an agreement with Ludlow for the VSO shared service position. So Tina is resigning at the end of the month, and really thinking long-term about how we are going to be able to continue to provide services, and thinking big picture about shared services and growing regional shared agreements, which I think we're going to have to look at throughout most departments in town as we move forward. This is one that I felt like it was worth a trial period. So the request for them right now, and they have to go through their select board for final approval, is for a staff member from Ludlow will come on site here in Palmer for 1 full day per week and 2 half days. And in addition to that, any veteran can go to the Ludlow service, VSO service area at any given time. So it's not like they only have certain hours they can visit. They are open for their normal office hours for Palmer residents as well. So, if you have any questions on that, again, it's a trial period. If it does not work out, we have clauses in the agreement that we both parties can choose not to move forward at a set date later on, so.
Just out of curiosity, how many members of the community are we servicing at the moment?
Better question for Tina, yeah.
Do you know how many Ludlow is servicing? No. I'm just curious on where the balance, that's all.
I know through this process, they're gonna add on hours for their assistants.
Okay.
And that's gonna help backfill some of the some of the,
I was just curious about
residents
that.
that come forward.
I have the microphone down, so I'm just going to rephrase it for the record. 125-ish for our veteran services, and I am not sure the amount for Ludlow.
Perfect, thanks, Ash.
Memorial Day parade info. So the parade lineup is at the usual St. Thomas Church on Thorndike Street. Arrival time is 10:15 and step off will be 10:45. The parade will go down Thorndike, take a left on Main Street, take a left on Central, and a left onto Converse, and we arrive at Converse for the ceremony. So, and we had the book, I think is what they would consider it, was fully washed off, and it looks
Restored.
really
It
good.
does.
Yeah.
I
It
saw
was done by a
Facebook.
resident.
I believe it was a resident, yes.
Yeah, I had seen. I think it was done by
What'd you have,
a
Lois?
private
I'm sorry,
person.
my hearing's going.
You know, like the book.
monument
The
book?
monument, yeah. the
Our
monument book.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
memorial.
It looks awful if it sits there for a long period of time, rain sits on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So we fully sprayed it, it looks phenomenal, so everyone's gonna be impressed by that. Eversource completed the paving.
Before you go on to
Yep,
that, can
sorry.
you make sure that, Old Mill Pond, their band is reached out to, just to, give them the information for the date? We talked about that when we went.
Yep.
Okay.
Eversource completed the paving on the town-owned roadway. They are working with the state on the remaining Park Street section. I was on an email today from the paving contractor that stated they were hoping to start later this week. But unfortunately, it looks like there might be rain in the forecast, so that might get kicked back,
It's
but,
also Flea Market Week, which,
Yeah.
not on Park Street.
yeah, wow.
I mean, it's a lot of
Unfortunately,
traffic.
it's up for them to
They
where-
do it,
where-
it's
yeah.
the always.
We don't have much of a
always-
say on this one, but.
It was very quick, though. I was surprised that Main Street got done that fast.
Wicked fast.
Oh, yeah.
Painted too.
Yep, nope, they're moving along.
They don't mess around.
Road paving on Old Warren Road and Stimson, which were Chapter 90 projects, were also complete as of the first week of May, and line painting will be complete by the end of this week. Just a reminder that weekend trash pickup at all of our parks is going to start this weekend. So that was a success story last year where we implemented where a DPW goes, we pay overtime for it, but a DPW or Parks Department employee goes throughout and they pick up various parks and our recreational areas throughout town. They pick up the trash that's in there so we don't have the overflowing recycle containers and trash containers. And I did not get one complaint last year, which was significantly down from the prior year. So that's a program we're going to continue on with. Converse Middle School, the bids are due this Friday at 12 here at Town Hall. So I'm hopeful we have a successful bidder. But if that does not come to fruition, I will reassess and then come back to you guys in June with a game plan. And then also I just got this notice literally about a half hour ago. Palmer Recreation and Chicopee Four Rivers Watershed is going to offer a family-friendly clinic, fishing clinic at Forest Lake. The date is on Saturday, June 27th from 9 to 12 a.m. So they bring all the gear, the tackle. It's a great opportunity for the kids to learn how to fish and use equipment so parents don't have to purchase it and see if they enjoy fishing. So we'll obviously put out more advertisement as we get closer to that, but it will be limited to 50 registrations is the cap right now. So, like I said, more to come on that, but more good work. And we worked closely with Keith Davies behind the scenes from Chicopee Four Rivers Watershed, who's also been working with us on the kayak and canoe launching points. So, continued good collaboration with those. That is it.
Miscellaneous correspondence? Seeing none. Counselors Roundtable?
Happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Thank you, Phil. I mean, Carl.
You
Okay.
too, Phil.
It has been a long day, trust me. Okay. All right, so we are going to adjourn from our formal session. We're going to go into executive session. We will not return to open session under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, and the chair so declares. This is for union negotiations for Palmer Police Dispatch UFCW Local 1459 and DPW/Administrative Unit UPSEU Local 424M. And we will go also Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 21, Number 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public. And the chair so declares. Palmer Motorsports. I so declare on both. Roll call vote. So do I have a motion to enter into executive
Make a
session?
motion.
Motion by Jess, second by Matt. Roll call. Matt?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Yes. I vote yes. Okay. Good night.